Most people know the story of Noah, a great flood, an ark, the survival of humanity, but almost nobody knows that over 3,000 years before the Bible was written, a nearly identical story already existed. It was written in one of the oldest religious texts ever discovered. It described a king who received a warning from God, not about a flood of water, but about something far more terrifying. And unlike Noah, this king didn't build a ship. He built an entire underground world, a hidden civilization buried beneath the earth, designed to outlast the apocalypse. This story was almost completely erased from mainstream history, and once you hear it, you'll understand why. His name was Jamshid. In the ancient Persian holy text known as the Avesta, one of the oldest scriptures in human history, Jamshid was described as the greatest king who ever lived. Under his rule, there was no sickness, no death, no hunger. The earth itself expanded to hold his growing kingdom. He reigned for hundreds of years, or so the myth tells us. But Jamshid's story isn't just a fairy tale about a golden age. It's a warning and a blueprint. Because one day, the supreme god Ahura Mazda came to Jamshid with news that would change everything. Ahura Mazda told Jamshid, "A fierce, deadly winter is about to descend upon the world. Snow will fall deep even on the highest mountains. Every living creature will perish. Nothing will survive." This wasn't a flood warning. This was a cosmic ice age. And the god gave Jamshid a mission that sounds almost impossible. He told him to build the Vara. In Old Persian, Vara simply means enclosure, a contained world. But what Jamshid was instructed to create was something that modern archaeologists are still struggling to fully explain. According to the Avesta, Jamshid built the Vara as large as a riding ground. It had 3 levels, each one deeper than the last. Inside, he brought the seeds of every plant, the finest men and women chosen for beauty, health, and wisdom, the best animals, birds, and fires. They would live inside this underground world, completely sealed from the destruction above. The Vara had its own light source, its own water supply. No disease could enter, no death could find those who lived within it. Here's what makes this story remarkable. This text was written over 2,500 years ago, yet what it describes sounds eerily like a modern survival bunker or even a generation ship. The concept of sealing a chosen group of survivors inside a protected structure while the world above is destroyed, this wasn't invented by science fiction writers. It was written in ancient Persia, millennia before our time. When sea levels rose dramatically across the entire planet, entire coastlines disappeared. Civilizations that existed along ancient shores were swallowed by the ocean. Could these myths be the echo of a real catastrophe, so enormous it was never forgotten? The story of Jamshid suggests that at least one ancient civilization didn't just remember the disaster. They prepared for it. Now, here's where history gets complicated, because Jamshid's story isn't alone. The Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh, written even earlier, also tells of a man warned by gods of a coming destruction, also told to preserve humanity and animals inside a sealed structure. The biblical story of Noah follows the same pattern. The Hindu flood myth features Mananu saved by a fish god from a great deluge. Researchers have identified over 200 flood and apocalypse survival myths from cultures with no known contact with each other. The same story, the same structure, told again and again across the ancient world. Were they all borrowing from each other? Or were they all remembering something real? Some researchers point to the end of the last ice age, roughly 12,000 years ago. So why don't most people know about Jamshid? Why does every school child learn about Noah, but almost nobody learns about the Vara? The answer lies in history itself. When Alexander the Great conquered Persia in 330 BC, ancient Persian texts were burned. Libraries were destroyed. The Zoroastrian religious tradition, which preserved the Avesta, was later suppressed under centuries of conquest. Much of what was written was lost forever. What survived did so in fragments, copied by hand by devoted priests who refused to let it disappear. The Avesta we have today is believed to be only a fraction of what originally existed, which raises a question that historians rarely ask out loud. What else was in those texts that we'll never read? What other stories, what other warnings were reduced to ash? Jamshid built his Vara not because he wanted to survive. He built it because someone or something told him that what was coming could not be stopped, only outlasted. The story survived for thousands of years. hidden in a text that most of the world has never read. And whether you believe it's mythology, memory, or something else entirely, it asks a question that still has no answer. If the worst came, would you be ready? If you found this story as haunting as I did, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And tell me in the comments, do you think myths like this are just stories? Or echoes of something that actually happened? I'll see you in the next one.